Thumbs touching the sternum. Roll them shortly 3 times and then begin. Take a breath. Flex your feet. Keep yourself in the work. Spine lifted, shoulders down. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. If you don't know what that is, you don't have your own mantra, limerick, rhyme, poem, song, may I offer that your life is never stuck, static, or stale. That you live in the ever-flowing change of it. Bring your hands into your lap, let your head rise, and your eyes open. All right. Go ahead and get started. Grab a strap if your hamstrings are tight and lay on your left side. I'm going to do Anatanasana to start. We're going to kind of pick up where we left off from Tuesday and work on continuing the strength of the back, neck, shoulders, and into some twisting tonight, end of the week coming up. So laying on your left side, remember on Anatanasana or King's Couch, it's not laying your head on your arm with your arm flat. It's not nap time. Come onto your left elbow so your head just behind and above your left ear is in the head is in the palm of the hand, left elbow, ribs on the floor, legs straight. Bend your right knee to your chest. Take your right hand and hook your right big toe. And before you even start straightening the leg, point your foot and push your foot into your hand firmly. Don't allow any part of, or your strap if you're not grabbing your big toe. Point your foot firmly. Start engaging from the part that already is supported. The hand is offering support to your foot, so push your foot into your hand, and then push your calf into your foot, and then your hamstring and leg up into the air, creating the straight action of it. But always start from the extension of the foot first so that it's not about your knee locking or your ankle manipulating, but you're extending all the muscle of the leg. Mr. Angar would say, every yoga pose is 2 parts moving away from each other, and what is left in the middle is space. And that's what we're exploring. So as you point your foot, point the big toe and pinky toe side and elongate it away from the shin. Elongate your shin, big toe and pinky, inner and outer, away from the thigh, and elongate your thigh away from the hip. So the leg is almost lifting itself, so you feel your body roll from the back towards the front slightly. There you go. Very good, Rebecca. Just point that foot, Chaya. Don't let it be lazy foot. There you go. Very strong. Mr. Angar would say, your foot is not a dead fish. Do something with it. It is alive. Keep all of yourself in the pose. And then even check in with what's laying on the floor so it can help lift up what is above. Your left elbow, flex your bicep, and then push the elbow down into the floor so you can let your head tilt back and turn the head to look up at the foot while keeping it on the hand. Keep the arm stable. So you start that rotation and breathe. And just so you can feel the difference of what I'm talking about, instead of pointing your foot, flex your foot back like you're pulling your toes towards your face. And feel the compression that happens in the calf and in the ankle. You actually lose a lot of balance when you overflex the foot like that. So point the foot, re-extend the leg, make some space in it, and then see what's in there. In the Iyengar school, we hold the poses for a long time, not because we're trying to create extra effect, but the effect is that it gives us more time to kind of contemplate and create language for what we're going through. All good teachers that I've ever worked with are telling stories of their experience using the philosophy as a guideline to guide. That creates modern practice. Something my teacher, Gabriel, would say a lot is that, why do we worry about only what the old things were? There's wisdom in them, but let them guide us to create modern day wisdom about ourselves for what we're going through now. Our time is different than any other, as every person's time is. So feel what's going on in your own body. Work to create a little more space. Slide your left elbow away from your left hip. Stretch your left leg away from your body. So you're elongating the left toes, even the left shin, the left calf. Where can you make space in your pose? And then keep that focus that allows it to maintain. All right, bend your right knee, bring your leg down, go to the other side. When you're ready, hook the strap around your foot or grab your big toe, point your foot first, extend your leg up. When you extend up through the leg again, push the right elbow down into the floor. Make that arm stable, so the shoulder's stable, and then turn the head away from the hand and the floor towards the foot. So you can even use your hand. I like to use my fingers. If the heel of the hand is on that just above and behind that right ear, I wrap my fingers behind my skull and I drag the hair. Don't pull the hair unless that's your thing. No judgment. You use your fingers, drag it along that flesh to help move that skull in a way that maybe is a little challenging for you. And just as you're extending the upper leg, extend your bottom leg. Find some space, even in the part that's not the showy, flashy part of the pose. I've taught a lot of people that have missing limbs, and I teach them this pose, even if they like lost their shin in the war or was a birth defect. Still, you do the pose because it's the action of doing that creates space in all ways. Not just the final form or the beauty of the pose. That you're focusing on you in it, not focusing on doing it right so I don't call you out or doing it wrong. I've done a lot of wrong yoga poses in my life, and they haven't stopped me from having a lot of words about it. Take a couple more deep breaths, letting the head rotate any degree, letting the arm that's holding the foot, the leg pushes up against the hand or the strap. And so that arm is getting stretched a little bit. You're not trying to pull the shoulder in like the leg is to be tamed or to be pulled out of the sky. Let the leg extend and pull the arm a little. Then breathe in the pose. Then recognize your thoughts in the pose. What are you already taking in knowledge-wise, misconception, verbal delusions, memories of old poses? Which are the things that are building you up towards truth, and which are the things that are pulling you down to a thing that you don't want? Because ultimately you can practice all the poses, but you have to choose what happens when you find something from doing them, whether it's pain or an issue or verbal delusions, misconception. You're the ultimate one that has to let them go. Go ahead and bring your leg down. Grab a yoga block, please. If you don't have a yoga block, you can grab a book or something that you could squeeze your palms into that keeps your hands roughly about 8 inches apart. A couple books, one block. Bring your block to one end of your yoga mat and squeeze the block between your palms with your forearm laying on the floor. Yeah, you don't get to lay down for this one. We want to create range of motion in the shoulders to ultimately get to the upper spine. Squeeze the palms into the block as hard as you can. Stick your thumbs way up to the ceiling. By spreading the thumb away from the index finger, you start to engage the inner muscles of the palm, which actually stretch down through the forearm. If you let your thumb just kind of hang out and curl, you're actually losing a lot of that muscle of the palm. Spread the thumb away from the index and the palm so that palm is really open and flexed, like you're going to slap the block. Squeeze it. Make sure the shoulders are above the elbows. Lift your hips up into downward dog, keeping your elbows on the floor. Squeeze the block, Chaya, not your palms on the floor. Squeeze the block itself to your hips. Down dog now. Lift your hips up. Good. All right. So this modified action to down dog, this is a very old pose that I've done a lot in my life. And there's a lot of interesting things that we can modify and learn from it. Mostly the range of motion in our shoulders, and mostly how we overwork our neck to try and create motion for our upper back. Or at least tonight. There's a lot more, but tonight that's what I want to discuss. So everyone bend your knees up 5 or 6 inches just to take a lot of the hamstring out, and see if that allows you to keep your knees bent, but lift your hips higher by moving your shoulder blades into your ribs deeper. So push through your forearms and move your chest bone towards your shins any degree. So your upper back has to start moving in. Now, notice how much your neck shortened when you did that. For some of us, we pulled the back of our head towards our neck. Let the head kind of be neutral, not the chin tucked, not the chin lifted, but lengthen the spine towards the block as your arms push your upper body away from the block. 2 parts moving opposite of each other make space, right? So even in this, that is true. Take a breath. Keep your knees bent. Walk forward just enough, lean forward just enough to move your shoulder directly above your elbow and hold it. And now walk your feet as close as you can get to your elbows, lifting your hips higher into the air. Don't let your shoulder go forward past the elbow, though. Keep it right above it. So use your visual acuity to find that action. Even if your knees bend, that's fine. I asked them to be bent earlier. And walk up as high as you can. And then try to find, can you take a breath and lift your abdomen up to lift your hips up? Can you use your core and front muscles to pick your spine up? Nice. And then take a tiny little step more. And now hold till I'm tired of watching you. Just because the teacher says a bad joke doesn't mean you get out of the pose. If that was true, I would have never done any yoga in my entire time because all my teachers tell nothing but bad jokes. All right, exhale, walk your feet back to down dog. Come on down to your knees. Turn your palms up to the ceiling, squeezing the block with the pinky side of the hands. The pinky side of the hand you want to squeeze with is from the joint down towards the wrist, that bulge of muscle. Now, when you do this, your thumbs may want to come up off the floor. Just like in the last pose, we stretch the thumb away from the index finger. With your palms up to the ceiling, do the same again. Your forearms are still on the floor, elbows. That's correct, Rebecca. You got it. Squeeze the pinky side of the hand and block and try to roll the thumb joint down. If you can press the thumbnail down and keep it pinned down in this, that shows a lot of good wrist and forearm health, actually shoulders totally. Lift your hips up again, straightening the legs, pushing your hips up into downward dog. Good. Everyone bend your knees and take the hamstrings out of it. Now push through the forearms, flex your bicep, actively think about the bicep muscle there and flex it, and then push the back of the hand down and into the block to try and move your chest towards your shin. As you again elongate the head and the neck, I should say, towards the block. So your arms and your back muscles lift and extend to the world behind you. Your spine and the muscles that are connected to it, some of your back and the front muscles actually, are extending towards the block in front of you. Bend your knees, walk your feet forward as much as you can, moving your shoulders right above your elbows so you start to actually create the hips moving above the shoulders. Walk up as close as you can get your feet. Go, Chaya. Walk your feet up, dear. Bend your knees if you have to. This is about, can you use your back muscles right into moving your shoulder blades into your ribs to move your chest forward? All right, come on down. Walk your feet back. Turn your palms flat now to the floor. So your thumbs point at each other and the block is between the index fingers and the thumb. Rebecca, come down and wrap your thumb around the block so the thumb is on the side of the block closest to you. There you go. Good. Elbows down, tuck your elbows in a little, lift your hips up into down dog. Bend your knees. Work on moving the shoulder blades, the back flat plates next to your spine, forward into your rib cage so your chest moves towards your shin bones. And because you're pressing your hands down, flex your biceps. So you're getting arm strength to help create that hinge of the upper back. If you're getting tired, that's how it's likely to happen. And it'll happen again. And then keep your knees bent, walk forward, move your shoulder right above your elbow, and work to step as close as you can with your feet. Walk forward, Miss Chaya. More, dear, more.
Getting cramps for my...
Oh, yes, in your legs. Good. I'm happy for you.
So,
you're doing well.
Yeah.
A few more seconds. Push through the hands, take a deep belly breath, and move your front muscles towards the back so you feel like your abdomen is trying to lift your spine. Last couple little steps forward. Do what you can. All right. Good enough. Come on down. Very good. Take the top of your feet flat onto the floor. Sit back on your heels with the top of the feet flat to the floor. If you can't do this because of a foot injury or something, it's okay to put a blanket under your feet or on top of your feet so there's not that pressure. Knees together. Take your arms out in front of you with your palms up, and then let your wrist bend so your palms are hanging down in front of you, and lean forward, taking your palms flat to the floor with your fingers pointing towards you. Your hips are staying back towards your heels. Now, try to spread your fingers, especially the pinky and index finger, away from each other as much as you can as you stretch those forearms by pressing your wrist down, and your hips stay on your heels. So you're not sitting up like some backwards downward dog. How far the hands are away from your knees is going to change how much stretch you get. So you can walk your hands as far forward as you want if your hips are on your heels, but you're trying to get the palms flat and your fingers spread wide. And for some of us, this will just go right down the forearm into all sorts of fun stuff. Notice how the shoulder wants to shrug towards the neck when you do this. Pull the shoulder down away from your neck so your spine can stay elongated, and work on more stretching from the back of your shoulder in the center of your shoulder blades down through the outer arm towards the floor. So instead of your energy and action rolling your shoulders forward, press down so you feel your back widen. And you hold. Bring the hands up. Turn the palms down. Let the wrist bend. Now take the back of the hands to the floor, trying to spread your thumbs and your fingers out, and try to press your thumbnail into the floor as hard as you can. This is what I lovingly call silverback gorilla. It is not called that technically. It's just what I call it, because when I first started it, I looked like this. My elbows were bent. I looked like a gorilla, like walking across the ground. So be aware if your elbows bend, try to straighten your elbows up, lift your neck and spine, and then stretch again from the outer shoulder blade down through the wrist, and then try to flex the hand to push that thumb towards the floor. And for some of us, this is, and including me, this goes right through all sorts of stuff I've had happen in my wrist over the years. The more stretch you want, the more you press your thumb down, of course, and also the farther you move your hands away from your knees. But I wouldn't move them too much unless your arms are straight. And breathe. Go ahead, flip the hands over to the other side. Palms flat now, fingers pointing towards you, stretching through the forearm. Fingers to point towards you, Katie. There you go. You got it. Shoulders back. Stretch through the outer shoulder down through the palm. Head lifted and extended. Try to spread the fingers as wide as you can. And notice when you push down through the hands, how much of the hand actually contacts the floor. How much of the first joint of the thumb down through the palm and through the up towards the outer edge of the palm to the finger. What you're trying to spread is these joints of the pinky and thumb apart to try and get most of the center palm to touch over time. This creates a lot of mobility. And for those of us that have arthritis or have suffered from hand injuries, spreading from here in the center by these joints moving will actually change a lot about how the wrist works, strengthen and really help remove arthritis and or prevent it from coming back or rehab a lot of injuries to the thumbs. And most of us work on computers and stuff like that. So the mouse hand is full of injuries, I imagine. At least mine is. All right, flip the hands over so the back of the hands are on the floor. Stretching the wrist down to the floor. Try to straighten your elbows as best you can. Lift your neck so you're not shrugging down into your shoulder. Good. Flip the hands over one last time, palms flat to the floor, fingers pointing towards you. Flip the hands over. Back of the hands, last time. Back of the hands, Miss Chaya. There you go. Straighten the wrist, straighten the elbows as best you can. Press that thumbnail down so you work the outer wrist quite a bit. Nice, 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 nice. All right, take the hands out, enough of that. So now come forward just onto your hands a little bit. Knees are still on the floor together. Knees, feet are still, top of the feet are flat to the floor still together. Excuse me. Take your right foot and cross your right toes over your left Achilles tendon. Your right toes go over your left Achilles tendon. Now it's not the whole foot, so it's not ankle. It's just your, if this was my toes, this hand is my but this is my Achilles tendon. I'm just stretching the toes over the top of it so my heel is still on the floor. So the foot goes across at a weird angle. Yes, just like that, Chaya. Good. And then sit back. And then let both hips shift to the right. So the right hip is on the floor and both feet are to your left hip. So you're going to be sitting at a slant to your right. Yes, Bharadvajasana. 1. Bharadva 1, named after that sage, was a preceptor for, was a military leader in one of their books for the gods during the Great War. In the Mahabharata, you can go read it. So from where you are now, take your both hips have shifted to the right. Yeah, my brain is trying to catch up. Take your left hand to the floor on the outside of your right knee. You're going to twist to the right. If you can, this is for those of you that want a little extra here. Your right hand doesn't just touch the fingertips of the floor. If you want, try to take your right palm to the floor and slide your right fingers under your right, or your left fingers under your right knee. Like you're pinning them down. So it would be like this. Yeah, like that. This does something interesting. When you push your leg down on your hand now, it makes your shoulders stretch a little bit. That extension is what begins to open the back. The right hand, pick it back behind you and try to touch your sacral plate, the bottom of your spine, and stretch it around like you're going to try and touch your left hip. Then lift your spine up, turn your head to the right, and push the left forearm into the knee as the knee pins the hand down to twist to your right any degree. Now, the reason I'm asking you to take your right hand behind you and not keep your right hand onto the floor is that a lot of these twists aren't done by the back arm pushing us into the torque. The back arm is reaching usually for another limb or another piece. And we have something like that to try before too long. But right now, this is the twist. Head up, head to the right. Even lean your head back, because remember, a lot of twists we sometimes bring the head down. We compress the upper fifth of the spine, lift the neck, lean the head back. Turn that other cheek, right? Good. Come on out, take the arms out. Now, keep your legs where they are for a moment. We're going to we're going to twist the same way, but we're going to add to it. Take your right hand behind you and grab the bicep of your left arm. If you cannot grab the bicep of your left arm, it's okay to hook a strap around your arm. But now that you've got your bicep, here's actually how the full twist goes. Your left hand reaches for the outside of your right knee again. And just that action right there makes the twist. So now stretch your left arm to the right and twist. And it's hard. It's actually hard to pull yourself across on the strength of that left arm because that right forearm is across your middle back, keeping you from cheating the pose. Yes, right, just like that. Now pull with your left arms as much as you can. Grab fabric, grab clothes. If you can get the palm to the floor and pin it under your knee, congratulations. But your right arm as a bar across your back is really showing you where the isolation of the twist is. And now lift your ribs up, head up and back, turn your head to the right. Good. A lot of times, some of these twists where the arm goes behind us is asking us to use the arm behind our back as a pressure to make us lift and rotate out of a compression. So here's the two parts moving opposite from each other. You're lifting the spine up, drop your hips down into your heels. Don't let your hip come up off of the feet. So your left hip stays pinned down. Lift your spine up away from that left hip, and then rotate by that left arm pulling across. A few more seconds. Take a few breaths in it. Bharadvajasana. All right, go ahead and untwist, let the arms go. Now you got to switch feet, come back to center, top of the feet flat to the floor. Cross your left toes over your right Achilles tendon, just below the calf, above the heel, just the toes. Left, Chaya, put the left toes on top of your right Achilles tendon, not under it here. That's Bardvajasana too. That's a different pose. She's so advanced. She's like, I teach yoga. I'm skipping. Point the top of your right foot flat here. All right. So we're going to start just by getting the full extension of the shoulder. So take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. You can grab the knee if you want, or if you want to try and take the palm to the floor and slide the hand under the knee so the knee pins it down so you can start feeling what that extension is like right there. Really interesting to explore that because of how it affects your elbow and up into your upper back shoulder. If you've got a shoulder injury, it's very useful. Then notice how much you want to lean into the left hand. Take your left hand and just stretch it behind you as far as you can go. And then just try to push with that arm to create any level of twist to the left. Lift the head, move the head back, look to your left. Very good. Keep going. Caitlin, lean, keep your twist. You're doing good. Now move your head towards your left ear. Tilt it that way, not your whole spine. And now turn your head more, dear. That's it. Now lean your head to the left a little bit. There you go. More of that. When you turn this way, when you turn and move your head, what you're almost doing is leaning your head and you're against those large muscles on the side of your neck on the left. The ones that run right up into your jaw and ear. Very good. Breathe. Katie, bring your chin down. Go from your right inner ear, Katie, to your jaw, and then from your jaw towards your left. Don't pull back as much. Just move your head forward slightly. There you go. Now lean your head to the left. Tilt it like this. There you go. Much better. All right. Untwist. Keep your legs where they are. Now, reach your left hand back behind you and grab your right bicep. Or use a strap. You can use a strap if your hand can't reach for whatever reason. So then the twist becomes harder. You have to move that arm across and reach for the outside of the leg with that left arm pushing your back. And that's where the twist comes from. That's your teacher coming back behind you and putting their knee in your back to move you. So use that arm. Once you've twisted that arm across, use your right hand. You can grab thigh, fabric, knee. Lift your spine up past the arm. Let your hips sit down on your heels. It's easy to push your hips and groin forward. Put your hips in your heel. Lift the head. Look to your left and lean your head towards the back side, towards the left ear. Mr. Anger would often talk about how this pose was very good for people with a lot of arthritis, that how that can affect the dorsal and lumbar regions of the spine, and how this has to force some level of suppleness to it. And even though a lot of us may not have arthritis, we create a lot of effects that are arthritis-like. We stationary, holding ourselves very still. So we want to start to change some of that action. All right. Go ahead and twist. Come forward onto your, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Take your left leg straight out in front of you. Keep your right foot where it is. So your right foot's going to be pulled back in hero pose with your left leg straight in front of you. Now this means that if your knee and your hip does not allow you to set your hips onto the floor with your right foot next to you, it's appropriate to sit on a bolster or blankets so you have some elevation. You don't want that pressure on the knee itself. Now, the straight leg, bend it and draw your left ankle onto your right thigh as close as you can get to the hip. Remember to point the foot when you do this. Remember, don't pull a flexed foot in like that, because then you're locking joints and you're going to make a lot of connective tissue take the bend and the movement before the muscle does. So right knee is bent into hero pose. Great. Left knee is bent, pulling it up onto the right thigh, pulling that ankle as close to the hip joint as you can get, pointing the left foot deeply. So Bardvajasana 1 variation. This is kind of between 1 and 2 from what I was taught. Point your left foot. And now, same fun time that we just did, you're going to have to twist to the right. Yes. So now, no, to the left. I apologize. My brain's some days. You might want to use a strap around your foot for this, unless you have the mobility to take your left hand back behind you and grab your big toe. You take your left hand back behind you and you grab the strap and you climb your hand down that strap as close as you can get to the foot. Get that forearm across the middle part of your back like a bar. Then the right hand goes to the outside of your left knee, the back of the hand, and the palm stretches for the floor. Don't worry about grabbing the knee and torquing yourself. Get the forearm to the outside of the leg and try to stretch the arm down to the outside of the knee, to the floor. There's the twist. The extension of your right arm creates the space and helps to rotate. You may not be as intense a twist as the other side, but it's twisting other things. Lift your chest up, keep your hips down, look to your left, in that way. And lean in towards your right hip a little bit. Just because your right hip is elevated somewhat doesn't mean it's totally out of the pose. I remember being taught about 3 Bardvajasana variations, 3 Maricharasana ones. Good. Untwist, switch your legs. At least you all get to sit down for class. This is so much nicer. Left foot back so the top of the foot is flat to the floor. Good use of props, people that are propping your hips up. Better to stay in the pose and learn something about it in you than to just learn that you don't like it. Right ankle comes up on left thigh, pointing the foot. Pull your right ankle up onto your left thigh, pointing the foot deeply, trying to pull the edge of your foot into your hip crease. Then take the right arm back behind you. Try to grab that toe. If not, use your strap. And then your left arm goes to the outside of the right knee and the palm stretches for the floor. The fingers are trying to curl under that knee joint. Don't worry about pushing your knee down into the floor. That will happen as practice happens, not as force happens. So you feel that forearm across your back, holding, lift your ribs up past it, look to your right, lean your head back against, and then breathe into the pose. As your head moves up and back, hips drop, and stretch through that left palm. Imagine, there you go, try. Imagine your teacher grabbing your left forearm and dragging your hand to the floor as your chest lifts up against it. So it's 2 different muscular actions in the body. The upper back is stretching down, the front chest is lifting up. 2 points moving opposite. Go ahead and untwist. Stretch your legs out for a moment. Dandasana. Long legs, fingertips next to your hips, lift your spine. All right. Good, 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 good. All right, here we go. Bend your right knee and pull your right foot under, alongside your right hip again. Top of your right foot pulls up alongside your hip. Don't worry, there'll be more. I ain't done. Here's where this pose gets a little weird because you actually have to sit on your right foot for Ardha Matsyendrasana 2. So what you're going to do is pull your right heel under your right buttock. So if you're using support, scoot your support to only under your left hip and pull that right heel under your glute. So you have some level of weight on it. Now, if that is uncomfortable or painful, do not worry about putting weight on your heel like that. You can have more support, just have it underneath your body in some way. And this is the fun part, the foot is not straight in line with the shin. The foot curls so your right toes point towards your left buttock. Your foot is actually laying on the outside of the ankle. Like that, Chaya, very good. It's actually quite a twisted ankle to this because what that does is set your shin. Now, pull your right knee close to your left knee, bend your left knee, and put your left foot on the outside of your right calf. Just like that, yeah. So we're going to start with, here's the legs. We'll get to the whole arm part of it in a crazy minute. But take both hands, interlace your fingers, hook your knee, and pull your knee deep towards your armpit of your right arm. My brain had to think about it. Pull your knee towards your right armpit, move your right armpit towards your knee. Just pull tight. Just do that. If you find that as you pull on the knee, there is very little movement there, that is not abnormal. That shows some tightness in the hip. So the first thing I always suggest to do is if you pull on that leg and you find it does not move, it does not mean you are weak. Probably means you're just holding a grip somewhere, probably in your hip. So lean forward towards your leg. And when you slouch towards your leg, then pull the leg in and notice it might move a little better. You've taken some of your back out of it and then pull it in and then lift your leg and your chest up at the same time and twist to your left. You're doing it, Caitlin. It's just tough. Tight's tight. I'm here for the tight people. I'm not here for the perfect people. Perfect people don't need a, non-perfect teacher. Katie, put a block under your foot. There you go. Now, for those of you that want more, take your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Like that. If you've taken your right elbow to the outside of your left knee, the next step would be taking your left hand back behind you and reaching for the top of your right thigh. Now I give it to you in stages like that. So if you're at step one where you're just pulling the hip and the knee in tight to the right armpit, great, that's all you need. You're feeling it, you're working on it. Don't worry about advanced anything. Advanced is a poor word for yoga. All right, untwist. Switch up legs. Left foot pulls alongside the body. If you're using some support for the hips, it's only going to be under the right, so the left hip is on the left heel. Remember, your left toes curl under you towards the right side, so you're really laying on the outer ankle of the foot. Bend your right knee, Take your right foot to the outside of your left thigh. Then take both hands, grab that knee, pull it towards your left armpit. And just strong arm it in. And you'll twist. You're gonna end up twisting to your right because as you move the knee towards your armpit, then move your armpit towards the knee so the two meet eventually. Maybe not today, but or some would say maybe not in this lifetime. If you want more, feel free to take your left elbow and arm to the outside of your right knee, and your right arm stretches behind you, reaching around. And then twist to your right and breathe. The poses that we've done tonight for twisting, if you practice them pretty regularly, you will find that there changes a lot of the upper thoracic, how the shoulder and the back works, and how to start to move the mid and upper thoracic, which is very important. We can get our low back and our hips to twist. Many of us do a lot of standing, or may know a lot of standing poses to move our hips. But without some suppleness to the upper spine, the rest of the spine will not move or respond. Spine is not meant to be rigid, and if we let part of it become rigid, the body will stop moving to protect it. People with back injuries, hamstrings get tight, or their groin. People with neck injuries don't move their shoulders, etc. Take a breath in, untwist, lay on your backs. Let the eyes close. A Savasana for a few minutes, my friends. Talked about recognizing the false things, the verbal delusions, or misconceptions that might permeate part of what we think or do in our practice, and that yoga lets us see them. Doesn't create them, but it lets us see them. Just as sometimes yoga lets us see the injuries that we've carried, whether emotional or physical, and give us the chance to heal them. But all that healing does not happen without practice. The 14th Yoga Sutra says practice becomes firmly grounded when well attended to for a long time, without break, and in all earnestness. Go to it with earnestness, my friends. There's an old story in the Hindu scriptures about the sage Narada. And as Narada was walking along, he saw a man sitting who had meditated for so long that the ants had built an anthill around him. And the meditating man said, "Narada, where are you going?" Narada says, "I'm going to heaven." "Oh, that's great. Can you find out from the Lord how many more births I have to meditate through? I've been sitting here for quite a long time, so can you find out?" Narada says, "Sure, I'll do it." And as he walks a few miles farther, he sees another man, one dancing and jumping around, singing for joy, saying, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna." When he sees Narada, he says, "Hi, Narada, where are you going?" Narada says, "To heaven." "Oh, great. That's really cool. Can you please find out how long I have to be here like this and when will I get final liberation? Sure, I'll do that. After many years, Narada happens to come back through the same route again and sees the first man. The yogi recognizes Narada. Narada, I haven't heard an answer from you. Did you go to heaven? What did the Lord say? I asked for you, and he said, 4 more births before you reach it. Another 4? Haven't I waited long enough? He started shouting and lamenting and complaining and bitching. Narada lets him on and just walks further. He sees the second man still singing and dancing. Hi, Narada, what happened? Did you get some news for me? Yes. Well, what is it? Do you see that tree there? Yeah. Can you count the leaves on it? Sure. I have the patience to do it. Do you want me to count them right away? No. I gotta go. You can take your time to count. Well, what does this have to do with my question? When do I get final liberation? Well, Lord Siva says that you have to take as many births as the number of leaves on that tree. Is that all? So at least it's a limited number then. Now I know where it ends. That's fine. I can quickly finish it off. Thank God he didn't say the entire leaves of the forest. Just then a beautiful palanquin comes down from the heaven, and the driver said to the second man, come on now, would you mind getting in? Lord Siva has sent for you. Shocked, I'm going to heaven now? Yes. But just now Narada said I have to take so many more births first. Yes, but it seems you were ready to and willing to do the work. So why should you wait? Come on. What about the other man though? He's not ready to wait for 4 more births. Let him wait and work more. If you are patient, your mind is more settled, and what you will do will be more perfect. If you are unsettled and anxious to get the result, you are already disturbed, and nothing done with a disturbed mind will have quality. So, my friends, take this moment. Let the practice of yoga show you the disturbances you have so that you can choose to not carry them. So that the work you do will get you truly what you want and what you need. Rest for another few moments and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.